What's up, peeps? Cold and flu season is upon us, and I got knocked out with a nasty, nasty cold. I'm feeling much better, but I'm still dealing with some lingering sinus congestion, so if I sound a little funny or if I sound underwater, that's why. Today, I'm so excited to share with you 3 of my all-time favorite fall soup recipes, or just any soup recipe. It doesn't have to be just for fall time. Soup is good for the soul, whether you're recovering from a cold, grieving a loss, feeling cold after a morning at the pumpkin patch, or just want to feel a warm hug from the inside. Soup is always the answer, so without further ado, let's get cooking. Alright, first up we're going to make a chicken chili lime soup. I made this for my dad for his birthday dinner, and it was one of our favorite soups. And I used to make this all the time, and I kind of forgot about the recipe, but you're going to want to start out with 3 ribs of celery chopped up, as well as 1 yellow onion. And guys, this onion was strong. I kept having to take little breaks. Yep, my eyes are watering. It was so strong, but you're just going to want to dice this all up into as even pieces as possible so it all cooks the same amount of time. Yep, there I am. It was bad. I need to invest in those onion goggles because I've tried everything. I've tried chewing gum, tried burning a candle, tried cutting an onion underwater. That did not end well. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, so sad. Then to my pot, I'm going to add some olive oil and cook up my onion and celery. And while that's cooking, I'm going to dice up a jalapeno. And guys, I do not mess around with jalapenos. I use a glove because I'm petrified I'm going to touch my eyes. But anyway, you want to get the ribs and the seeds out of the jalapeno because that's what holds the heat. If you want extra heat, leave them in, throw them in the soup. I tried to get out as much as possible because my kids were going to be eating this. You're going to want to add your jalapeno to your celery and onion in your pot, as well as 4 cloves of garlic. So once your onions are soft, you're going to want to add in 2 chicken breasts right to the pot, and then add in a can of diced tomatoes. And then the recipe calls for rotel, but my grocery store was out, so I just added in about the same amount of medium salsa and then 6 cups of chicken broth. Next come your spices. It's just some cumin and oregano, and as always, I'll have the full recipe linked down below with all the exact measurements. You want to turn the heat up to high, and once your mixture reaches boiling, you're going to want to put the lid on, turn the heat down to low, and simmer it for about 45 minutes. That's what's going to cook your chicken. If you guys have been around for a while, you know about my scrap bucket. Well, now it's coming to a time called Thanksgiving where I save my scraps in a freezer bag and throw it in the freezer because this is how I make my homemade stock, which I'll be showing you peeps in another video coming up after Thanksgiving. But just so you know, start saving your scraps because I'm going to show you how to use them. Onion skins, celery, carrot peels, potato ends, whatever. Throw it in a bag, throw it in the freezer. After 45 minutes, take your chicken out and shred it, and look at how tender this chicken is. It is so good. It's absorbed all the flavors of the broth. So good. I just let this simmer on the stove for the rest of the afternoon, and I also made some pumpkin chocolate chip cookies, which are the best, and I will show you guys how to make those in another video as well. But this was just like the perfect fall meal: soup and pumpkin cookies. The last thing you're going to want to do is squeeze 1 lime into your soup right before serving. This just gives it that tangy, sour, oh, it's so good, I can't even describe it. This soup is definitely a hit, very easy to freeze, delicious. Alright, next up comes my favorite soup ever. You're going to want to start off peeling about 3 large sweet potatoes, and yes, that's my kid with a bag on his head. We had just gotten back from Costco, had to keep them entertained. We had some hungry kiddos, but keeping it real for you guys. This is real life, real mom life. Hashtag. Don't take your knife skills from me, but you're going to want to chop up your sweet potato into as even pieces as possible. It doesn't actually matter how big or small they are because the soup goes in the blender, but you just want them to be kind of uniform so they all cook at the same time. And then for this recipe, you just need 1 rib of celery. Again, it doesn't really matter how precise your dicing is because it goes in a blender, as I said, so just as uniform as possible so it all cooks. You also need 1 onion. Thankfully, this one was not as strong as the last, but still, if anyone wants to send me onion goggles for Christmas, that'd be great, or tell my husband to get me those, because I'm tired of crying over an onion. Alright, and this is what makes this soup so magical. In your pot, you want to cook up 6 to 8 slices of bacon. Yes, bacon. Cook it up. Try not to eat it. When it gets nice and crispy, take it out, put it on a paper towel lined plate, and then here's the best part. Leave the grease in the pot. You can take it all out and just leave 2 tablespoons of grease, but who's got time for that? The more bacon grease, the better in my opinion. This is what makes this recipe so dang good. So leave the bacon grease in, and then you're going to want to add in your veggies to that hot bacon grease. I just added in some garlic, and you're going to want to just cook this for a minute. Next, add in your sweet potato as well as some thyme. My mother-in-law says I never measure, so here's a teaspoon of salt just for you, Mom. Stir that up, get it all coated with the spices, and then you're going to want to add in your chicken broth. Once that's all combined, you're just going to want to pop a lid, partially covering it, and let it simmer until your sweet potatoes are fork tender. So basically a fork will easily go through them. Then transfer this mixture to a high-speed blender. I would recommend a Vitamix if you have one, or even a NutriBullet would work just fine, or a Magic Bullet. You would just have to do it in multiple batches, but this is what gives this soup such a creamy, amazing texture. Once you've transferred your soup back to your pot, you're just going to want to add in 1 can of coconut milk and season to taste with salt and pepper. Give it a good mix and you are good to go. This soup is velvety, smooth, and so rich. Perfect for a cold fall night. And if you didn't eat all the bacon, top your soup with the bacon. You can also top it with sour cream, Greek yogurt, pumpkin seeds, whatever you want. But this soup, if you're going to make any of these soups, make this soup. Alright, last but not least, for this beef cabbage roll soup, you're going to need 1 onion, 2 ribs of celery, and 2 carrots, all diced up evenly. You're then going to need half a cabbage diced up. And what do you do with the other half of the cabbage? You could make homemade coleslaw, you could just double this recipe. There's lots of other things you could do with cabbage. Just look. To a pot with some oil, add in your carrot, onion, celery, as well as some garlic. Now this recipe was either from a Canadian Living magazine or Costco, so I'm going to try to find the recipe, but if not, I'll just have it typed out down below for you guys. After your carrot, celery, and onion have cooked, add in your ground beef and let that cook until no longer pink. Then you can add in half a cup of rice. Now I'm using cooked rice. You would use uncooked rice. It's just because I had it in the fridge and I wanted to use it up. If you are planning on freezing this soup, do not add the rice. Leave it out, and then when you thaw the soup, just add more rice. Now this recipe also calls for beef broth. I didn't have that, so I just used water with beef bovril cubes or whatever. And then I added in my cabbage, a can of diced tomato, some salt and pepper, brought it to a boil, and then turned it down to low and let this simmer basically all afternoon. You only have to simmer it until the cabbage is cooked, but I just let it cook all afternoon because it made my house smell amazing. But this soup is so, so good. It's so hearty, so filling, and perfect for a fall evening. And it freezes really well as long as you don't put the rice in. So I hope you peeps enjoyed, and I will see you all on Friday. Take care.